Hello there, welcome back. This is Sheepishly here once again, and today I have the ultimate alch and go strategy for you guys. That's right, we are taking a break from farming tier 16.5 and tier 17s, and we're going back to basics. What I want to share with you today is a good old Searing, exarch, or red altar farming strategy, but with a twist. Besides farming altars, we are also going to be farming 3 separate invitations. That's right. The first one, of course, being the incandescent invitation. These are going for about half a divine each. These are the guaranteed drops of this farm. The second invitation is the new Eagon invitation, Echo of Reverence. Now these are going for about 2.5 divines each. And the way we focus on these is on the tree here. If you go to the very top, you can see that we can take all these small nodes, which give us chances of spawning the Eagon memory tiers. And we want to block out Incarnation of Neglect and Incarnation of Fear. And the reason we want to block both of them is because the Echo of Reverence, or Incarnation of Dread, is just so much more expensive than the other two. Feel free to swap this around depending on the state of the economy you're in at the moment. And the last invitation we're farming is the Audience with the King. Now these are actually going for about 1.1, 1.2 divines each, which is very expensive. Now the Audience with the King is actually super profitable because the moment we see an Audience with the King, we're guaranteed to get 4 of these orbs. And that is because every refresh of the ritual window will give you an Audience with the King, which you can defer, and make sure to do defer it, otherwise you will run out of favor. Natively, we can reroll ritual once, but with this node allocated, which is Profitable Prayers, we can reroll the ritual window additional 2 times, bringing us to a total of 4 Audience with the Kings per nameless ritual. Now, here's an important tip to remember. Do not run the rituals unless it is a nameless ritual. And the reason is that ritual takes a lot of time to do, and this whole strategy is about going fast, so we're really just fishing for the nameless rituals here. Also, even though we're skipping these rituals, rituals do spawn with a lot of monsters, and these monsters are considered natural monsters like the monsters spawned by shrines. And natural monsters are good because they can help juice up your Searing Exarch altars. Speaking of Searing Exarch, let's talk about the Grand Embers. Now these are incredibly expensive at the time of writing. These are going for about 1 to 20 to 25 per divine. And if you ever done any kind of Exarch farming, you know that sometimes you can walk out of a map with like 40 of these in your backpack. So these make for a very nice profit throughout the farm. You want to grab all the nodes on your Atlas tree that's relevant for the Searing Exarch, and make sure to allocate Word of the Exarch, which gives a 10% chance to duplicate your Eldritch Embers. One quick tip here is to make sure you have the Soul of Aberith allocated on your Pantheon. The Unaffected by Burning Ground, it's such a quality of life when doing the Searing Exarch altars. I cannot stress enough that you should 100% have this allocated unless you're already immune to Burning Ground in some other way or form. In addition to Searing Exarch, we're also farming Niko. That's right, we are taking Pack with Energy to get a little bit of buff and zoom for the map, but more importantly, we are taking mining byproducts. What mining byproducts do is that every time you click on one of these sulfide veins and chests, you have a 10% chance to gain some Azurite from them. And these Azurite can be exchanged for these primitive chaotic resonators at Niko. Now these chaotic resonators are extremely expensive this league, going for something like 70 per divine, which makes mining byproduct one of the most efficient nodes to take on the tree. And also Pack with Energy just gives you a little bit of speed, a little tankiness and damage. It just makes mapping feel so much smoother. Now the last mechanic I want to introduce to you is Heist. Heist is ridiculous right now. The price of these deception contracts and blueprints, it's absolutely crazy. I think I was selling my deceptions for like 15C each, and for these blueprints, I think I sold all of mine for like 35-40 cows each. It is stupid the amount of money you make from this. Now, whatever you do, do not sleep on Heist. Heist is such an easy mechanic, and it absolutely prints divines, and it is super easy to sell these contracts and blueprints in bulk on TFT. Trust me, it hard carries this strategy, and I would absolutely recommend any alch and go strategy to put Heist onto the Atlas. Okay, coming over to the map device, I just want to quickly talk about the Scarab choices as well as the map choices. For maps, we did City Squares, the classic map to pair up with Searing Exarch farm. You really only want to do this strategy on a map where you can rush the boss to improve the mods on your Exarch altars. For the Scarabs, we're taking 1 Influence Scarab of the Hordes. This is very cheap and it's going to boost up the Searing Exarch pack sizes so we can get more altars. Now for the second Scarab, we are running the Sulfide Scarab. This will force Niko onto the map and give us more sulfite, which translates into more Azurite. Now the other 3 slots is actually flexible. I like to run Domination just to make my character a bit more zoomy. You can use the normal Domination Scarabs, you can use the Domination Scarab of Apparitions. I think this was just buffed this patch. Now the other options is to run something like the Elder Scarab, which pairs quite well with the Influencing Scarab of Hordes, or you can even run the Haunted Traitors. Now these are all super cheap Scarabs, and the whole point of these are just to add a little bit more mobs to your maps to help the Searing exarch altars spawn. Lastly, on the map device, take Heist of course. Oh, and make sure you have selected Searing exarch as your influence. Okay, and jumping over to our trusty spreadsheet of our Eagon and Go strategy, I think that's what I'm going to call this. You can see that we have a complete breakdown of our revenues, costs, as well as the profit. From a revenue side, across the 60 maps, we didn't get too much raw currency. I think we're only about 5 divines. But what's interesting here is the Grand and Greater Embers accounts for another 4 divines by themselves. In terms of fragments, we made a lot of money off Reverences, which is almost 9 divines, and we only got 2 audiences with the King instead of 4, and the reason is because I actually forgot to take Profitable Prayers. I actually ran another 40 map test, and you can see that we do have 4 audience with the King now, because I did actually remember to take this very profitable node, actually named Profitable Prayers. Coming back to the spreadsheet, the other econ memories we got is 1 loneliness and 1 trauma. This looks about right distribution wise because we have been focusing on references on our Atlas tree. Coming over to the incandescents, we did manage to get 3 incandescents there, probably got some lucky procs on double progresses. In terms of maps, we dropped 9 tier 17s and 17 tier 16.5s. The prices are as they were when I recorded them. I think the cost of this map will likely shift in the coming days, with tier 16.5s being nerfed and tier 17s being buffed a little bit. But overall, about 4 divines for the maps. Oh, by the way, for the fragments, we made about 13 divines across the 60 maps. Heist is by far the biggest moneymaker. 18 divines altogether. Even if you don't count the fully reveals, we have about 12 divines. The blueprints are hard carrying our profit, 10 divines by themselves, and like I said, Heist adds no time to the map and is something that is so easy and fast to do. It is a no-brainer to add to this. Lastly, Niko, 4.5 divines altogether. Again, this is super efficient in terms of Atlas node investment. I think we spent about 6 nodes altogether and 1 Scarab slot, not too bad. So altogether you can see we made 48.6 or almost 49 divines. Now this I would argue is actually an unlucky result, right? And the reason why it's unlucky is one, of course, we got 2 audiences with the King instead of 4. That's pretty bad. Secondly, I actually only started running Ritual in my last 20 maps of the 60 maps. Before speccing into Ritual, I was actually farming for scouting reports, which actually it's horrible money, so don't do that. Do spec into Ritual instead. So I would reckon you could definitely make more money from the Ritual mechanic here. And lastly, we got 1 divine drop and 4 exile drops. Again, that's a little bit unlucky. These 2 have the same drop rate, but I guess it's somewhat balanced because we dropped 2 Voldos as well. In terms of the cost, I just quickly update the spreadsheet to include the map device, which I forgot. The whole setup costs absolutely nothing to run, 3 chaos per map. Tier 16 maps are ridiculously cheap this time around. All the Scarabs are less than 1 chaos. You can replace Domination for something else cheaper if you wanted to. And I think the most expensive one is the map device, which is the Heist Craft. Let me make that clear. Which goes for about 6 chaos each. So altogether, each map costs something like 10 chaos, which is next to nothing. And the total cost is roughly 700 chaos, which is only 3 divines, and you can see that we've made 50 of them back, which gives us a total profit of 46 divines, and it took me 3 hours to run these, so roughly 15 divines per hour, or if you want to count the maps, across 60 maps, it's roughly 0.8 divines per map. Well, there you go. That's the Eagon and Go strategy. It's one of the best alch and Go strategies at the moment, and unless the cost of these fragments and heists come down in the future, this is likely going to remain one of the best farming strategies for the rest of the league. So if you are tired of tier 16.5 and tier 17s, or if your build is not quite strong enough to handle those maps just yet, give this strategy a go. In 3 to 4 hours of farming, you can easily make 30-40 divines if you're unlucky, more if you are lucky, to afford those upgrades you need to take your build to the next level and start farming those really juice maps. Well, thanks for watching. This is Sheepishly here once again. I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Choose your name. next move very carefully. The choice is yours. If you need to die, die quickly. Die quickly! Ha! If it means that much. Fine. My mana is gone.
Over here. Don't dally.
Die quickly! Dreadfully dull. Dreadfully dull.